There are circumstances that'll come up where using some of the standard noise removal methods, such as using the notch filter or making a selection and decreasing the volume or using auto heal, where those tools just won't be enough or they just won't be effective at all. I've come up with two here that I want to show you in this tutorial. So go get Noises Multiple Approaches here inside the Working Files Noises subfolder. Now, I introduced this topic to you way back in the Editing Audio Clips chapter when I talked about mix paste. And so I'm going to follow up on that here with this thing that I introduced back then where I had markers all set up and had all ready to go. Here we're going to do it from scratch. This is where there's a cough, and I think you learned from the previous tutorial that removing coughs, particularly ones with multiple hacks, is pretty difficult. So here's the multiple hack cough that we really can't get rid of without destroying the music along the way. Like a triple hack there. The volume's kind of low. I'll turn the volume up a little bit so you can hear it a little bit better subsequently here. As if you didn't need to hear it twice. Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of the audience noise. Now, audience noise is not necessarily a constant source of noise, and you'd hope that audience noise would fade out as the music moves along. But here the audience noise kind of was sustained for a while. So we're going to get rid of the audience noise first, and then we'll get rid of the cough by using another piece of audio from elsewhere in the clip and laying it on top of it. So first let's get rid of the audience noise using an effect we've worked with before. That's noise reduction right there. And it says, first order of business is give me a noise print, please. So I'll just highlight this area for the audience noise. We'll just preview it. Let me just go down here and put loop on. Yep, and we'll preview that. So that's reasonably constant noise. I mean, there's little bits and pieces of things that sort of fall out of a constant flow of noise, but we'll use that as our noise print. There we go. And now I'm going to highlight this whole section. I can highlight maybe part of it, but sometimes you want to highlight it to a point where there's a phrase that changes and then stop decreasing the noise, because at that point, hopefully the noise will have diminished. But for this case, I'll do the whole thing. And here we go. Try it out. Give it a test here. Amazingly quiet, isn't it? It's working very well. There's that cough more distinctly now. Okay, that's good. We'll just do that application there. Now you got rid of a lot of noise there. It's really quiet now. Pretty amazing. So I'm going to select from here to the end of that phrase. So I'm going to put in a marker. I'm going to mark the beginning of that phrase that's coming up here. That little bump will be the end of the repeat, because now it's going to go down. So we need to catch that little phrase before it's down to the part that's not a repeat, so we can cover up the cough part here. So you can get that part covered up. So I'm going to put a marker where that second phrase begins. Right there's the beginning of that phrase. So I press the M key to make a marker. I'm going to go along a little bit to just before the repeat ends. Try it again. So that's one little thing about doing this real time here for you, is that it's hard to get it exactly right in a brief period of time that I'm going to do the tutorial, but we'll give it the old college try here. I'm going to zoom in a bit because I think that introductory marker might be a little too far to the left. Let's try it again. I'm going to move it over just a touch here like this. I have snapping on, so when I move the marker, it moves to the current time indicator. And now we'll make that selection right there. And with the two markers here, when I make a selection with snapping on, it'll snap those markers. So that's the part I'm going to copy. I'll go Control-C to copy that. Now I want to put it here and cover up the sound here. And since this is music, it's organic, it's not mechanical, it's possible the timing might be a little bit off. So I'll just put it here and hope that the timing works out. If it doesn't, we can just undo it and try again. Now I want to actually have the beginning of the music already be ahead of the paste, because we're going to do a nice little crossfade there. So it actually might work out pretty well. So now I'm going to do what's called a mix paste. I go Edit, Mix Paste, and the mix paste gives you the option of how much of the copied audio and how much of the original existing audio do you want to use. I want to use none of the existing audio and 100% of the copied audio. And we'll go with the 50 millisecond crossfade, which is a 20th of a second. That's a reasonable amount. We'll try it out and see what happens. And what the mix paste does, it covers it up. It doesn't insert it. It lays it on top. And now we'll see if that worked. If it didn't, we'll just undo it and try again. Perfect. How about that? Whew. Managed to dodge a bullet on that one, folks. So we got that guy done in the first crack, and I hope you see how that worked. Let's move on down the line here. I have not shown you this particular one. This is a piece where the group is humming, kind of a lovely note, very quiet. And at the absolute worst, most inopportune time, somebody hacks out a monster cough. Listen to this. Gosh, that's just awful. So we have to get rid of that cough, but I can't use that auto heal on that because there's music on this side. Over here, there's silence. So I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm going to delete it. But then I can take this hum at the end and bring it in and duplicate it sort of like before, but it won't be so much a mixed paste as it will be. I'm just going to lay in a lot of audio, then put some fades in. So let's listen to the audio here. And that's a sustained note. So we can use that sustained note to get rid of the cough. Oh my gosh. So first of all, I'm going to just delete this stuff to make sure we're clear that we're just going to get rid of that stuff. I could make it silent by going Effects, Silent. Now it's gone. And now I'm going to make sure that this side fades. So I'm going to select this area here. And I could go up here to Favorites and say Fade Out. But the fade out here, it's a set time that it fades out. And it may not be comfortable. Let's see how it goes. That worked, I think. We can go with that. If we don't like it, we can always go to Effects, Amplitude and Compression, and then Fade Envelope. And we could have controlled that fade if we wanted to. We could have selected that area and faded it that way. But I'll go with that, and I'll use this effect for the return voyage here. So we want this thing to start right about there. We want this to come in right about there. So I'm going to select this, a good chunk of it, Control C. I'm going to move my selection to right about there, which is where I want it to start coming in. Now I'll do a mixed paste. It'll just be a solid wall of humming there. We're going to fade it in a second. So Edit, Mix Paste. Do the same thing as before where we want 100% of the copied audio and none of the existing audio. Now it's there. Now fade this in. So to do that, I'm going to select the area that I want to fade in starting right about there. And that'll be the length of the fade in. Now I'm going to go to Effects, Amplitude and Compression, and Fade Envelope. And it shows a fade out. I want to fade in, but that's easy enough to fix. I'm just going to take this down like that and take this guy up like that. It'll be my fade in. And I can put a spline curve in or just draw it up like this, but I'll put a spline curve to smooth that out as we go along. There we go. And we'll just fade this fella in. Let's just see what that looks like. Let's do it first. Very good. I think that came in a little too fast. Let me just bring it down a little bit like that. And again. Good. So we'll apply it. So now we've taken care of that cough and made it sound something like this. Let's see if it works. I think I'd rather have the fade be a little bit slower. So let me just go back and undo that. I'm going to go back at Effects one more time. We'll give it another try here. Fade envelope. Let's bring it a little bit slower like that instead of making it so abrupt. Let's try it again. Let's just try that one now. See how that works. Yeah, or we could adjust it even further, but I think you see what we're up to here. We've done two things here. We've taken this audio, a phrase, and replaced a phrase that was heavily damaged by coughing. We took this spot here that was just totally destroyed by coughing and replaced it by a phrase using mixed paste. Plus I got an effect to help fade it in. So that's how you do some specialized noise repair work. You just got to look at the circumstances and say, how can I approach this knowing that the standard approaches won't work?